Clemson softball and baseball weren't supposed to win last night, but they both walked away with a win on the diamond. We'll talk about it right here on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, and part-time host and producer over on 105.5 FM The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you're new to the show, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. You know how we do here on Locked On, exclusive Clemson content Monday through Friday, every single week. And don't forget to follow me in between episodes. You can see it down there on the screen at the Morgan T Show over on X, where we can talk about all things Clemson, however and whenever you want. Hey, today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money, and take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And I'm excited about this show because, I don't talk a ton about the Diamond, but I did get a chance to check out the softball and baseball games from last night. And man, it was really exciting. Two completely different things happened. And I thought that honestly, what happened at the softball game would happen at the baseball game, what happened at the baseball game would happen at the softball game. And if you watch those games, you know exactly why, even though that may sound confusing, that's exactly what happened. So softball really came out strong, shut down all of the doubters. Well, maybe most of the doubters out there, but Clemson didn't just win game one of the Super Regional. They outplayed Texas. They outpitched Texas. And honestly, they outcoached Texas. It was a great, complete win for Clemson. And really, to be honest with you, I know it was frustrating for a lot of fans out there watching. Not only did they have the weather delay and all that came along with it, you didn't know when they were going to finish that game up. I couldn't stay up for it. I did go to sleep. I had to get some rest because, I'm flying around all the time. But when I got back and watched some of the replays and listened to some of the analysts and reaction from the game, I noticed that, man, one of the big things and big frustrations, at least on the radio, was just how the analysts and the color commentator were basically writing off every single thing that Clemson did good. It was more of, Texas allowed it to happen, even the good things. And now I understand Texas is battle tested. They're one of the best teams in the country. But I don't get this idea that Clemson can't hang. And maybe that's just the way it's always been with little old Clemson. And that's why Dabo Swinney says that. And everybody just hates when he says that. But it is very true from a national perspective. They see Pickens County. They see the cow pastures. They see the farms. They don't see the big buildings or the Lamborghini big car dealerships. They see the Ford dealership. And, it's just not a lot going on in the town. The town is basically the lake and the university. And then this giant football stadium, and then a really nice baseball stadium, amazing softball field, and then a great basketball arena as well. So there's a lot to be said about what Clemson pours into their athletics. But still on a national level, you get this idea that, man, and I get it. Texas was ranked higher, and they obviously had a great pitcher, one of the best in the country, who got beat. And they have one of the best hitters in the country. And she tried her best to win the game at the end. But to be honest with you, Clemson is not an inexperienced team. They've been through some difficult matchups this season, the softball team, and they've been able to overcome deficits multiple times. They're the first team ever after all these seasons with Valerie Cagle, one of the best players in the country, and all these seasons with some of the most veteran players on the team this year that has a lot of freshmen and sophomores and just a few veterans, is like clicking on all cylinders and really playing together well. And I get that the team may be inexperienced, but the coach is definitely not inexperienced. He's a Hall of Fame. John Rittman's a Hall of Fame style, level coach. And so when the lights come on, what we've seen at the end of the season is Clemson has rise to the occasion for the softball team, and the baseball team also has come on stronger towards the end of the season after a little bit of a lull. But I understand Clemson softball started out slower to begin the season, but now they, to me, have all the momentum. And you heard me in the last podcast episode. I said, they have the ability to do so. I went on the radio with Mickey and I explained just, Texas is a winnable game. Now they're definitely a very difficult team to play, and maybe it was just a fluke. Maybe it's just one game, but it does get kind of frustrating because I don't think any Clemson fan really thinks it was a fluke, because I do feel like the softball team deserves national respect, and they proved multiple times this season that they can win against Florida State, they can win against South Carolina, they can win against Tennessee, and now they can beat Texas. And so I don't really understand why they can't hang with anybody and why you would talk as if you can't hang with anybody. And that was kind of the frustration from a lot of the fans after the night who stayed up and watched. They seemed like the color commentator and the play-by-play person there, not calling them out personally by any means, because they're obviously professionals in their world, but it did seem like they had a lot of notes on Texas and a lot of excuses on why Clemson, was just a flash in the pan, it seemed like. But let me break it down for you. Reese Basinger was amazing. She got out of jams early, kept the team steady throughout the rain delay. And now she's 18-5 overall. Brooke McCubbin, Brooke has been one that kind of been overlooked the past couple of seasons because of Valerie and Millie. And now she gets her opportunity, and she's not a very good starter, but man, has she not became like a John Smoltz type save bullpen, relief pitcher out there. 3 scoreless innings in a super regional. I mean, she is doing amazing. She's tied Clemson for a single season saves record. And the defense at the end of the game really saved the game. Jamison Brockenborough from center field. I mean, she's a transfer from Tennessee who wasn't getting a ton of playing time and really has struggled at the plate for the majority of the season. But now towards the end of the season, not only has we've always really, counted on her in the field, but man, she has done so great. She got a shallow ball from center field and chucked it home and was able to get a double play. And Clemson just continued to show that they could show up and show out. Alex Brown, I mean, how much more can we brag about her? She continues to set the tone as a leadoff hitter. It took her, more than a little bit longer to get adjusted to being the star for Clemson. She moved from the Tar Heels to Clemson, and now, I mean, she is just an absolute monster. She's had that contract year, as they say, as I like to say, where I think she's going to go professional at this point. I mean, she is an absolute tone setter. 3 hits. Puts pressure on you lead off. She's super fast on the bases. She's just an absolute spark when you need her. And she's so consistent. Batting average is through the roof, and probably could be leadoff hitter for any team in the country, to be honest with you. And she's really good in the infield as well. Julia Noller, a 2-run double and a 6 to really kind of put it away overall from a close game to a comfortable game. And she's become a veteran that you can really count on, someone in that cleanup position that is just really, really delivered when you needed her the most. And I get it. The Texas fans will say, hey, you know what? We just had a bad night. The weather delay threw some things off for us. And, really was kind of not a unique, was kind of a unique night. But to me, Clemson forced the issue. They executed when pressure was on. And so you can maybe write it off as a fluke night, but we'll see tonight. They get 2 more chances to put them away and move on. Best out of 3 tonight at 9. If you're watching this after 9, go check it out. It's on television. But I'm talking about Clemson, Texas in the Super Regional. Go check it out. It'll be awesome. And Clemson has a chance to move on now. And this is amazing for me as a Clemson softball fan, and I know you as well, because I know that Clemson fans show up to almost every sport out there for sure. All right, so next up, we're going to move over to the other diamond and talk about some Clemson baseball and how they gutted it out and how they did the opposite. What I thought was going to happen with softball, baseball did, and vice versa, and we'll talk about it. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all your money go? between dining out, shopping online, and entertainment. It's easy to lose track. You know that. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Now, I eat out a lot. And now that I'm traveling, I'm going to Lawrenceville and Georgia, 2 hours away, and I'm going to fly and all those things. And I'm telling you, I don't bring my food all the time. And so I'm eating out a lot, and I'm looking at my budget now and I'm like, this is really hurting me. I need to be smarter. I need to save more, and I can do it if I plan appropriately. And it's easier to plan because you get to see how your spending is, and you can manage money so well with Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, we're going to continue the discussion on the diamond and talk about Clemson Baseball. Every inning of that Clemson Baseball game, felt like, could this be the last inning? I mean, I felt as if Clemson could unravel at any given moment, but they just kept fighting through, making just enough plays to survive and thrive, and then won it late and finished out the game. It's the ACC tournament. You don't get but one opportunity. It's not best out of 5, best out of 3, or anything like that. NC State is one of the better teams in the country. The ACC really is just absolutely stacked with talented teams out there. I mean, when you look at the Division I baseball rankings, right? And I know SEC this and that. We get it. But North Carolina is 3rd, Florida State 6th. You've got Clemson 14th, which they've been as high as 2, depending on the week. Georgia Tech, which Clemson plays tomorrow. And then you have North Carolina State, which Clemson just passed up. So, ACC is absolutely stacked with some great teams, and NC State was sharp last night. I mean, I felt like that they did everything they needed to do to win the game. Their offense had base runners on. I mean, was it every inning that the leadoff hitter was on first base? I mean, it just seemed like they had everything given to them super easy. And Clemson just needed to find a way to make it through, to get the stars out there to kind of close the deal. Clemson had to manufacture everything they did, but they did it. And Eric Bakich is honestly one of the best coaches in the country. What an amazing hire. Looking back, what an amazing get from Michigan. What an amazing hire in the guy. He's such a great guy. We've had him on the radio many times, and I love listening to him. I have all kinds of quotes from him that I use when I coach youth league softball for my daughter. But Eric Bakich is just a true leader, and he knows how to make the right adjustments and rally his guys at the right times too. And he's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. They've had to deal with some adversity, and every team does, and every good team does. But Clemson couldn't win with firepower. I was going to say they didn't win with firepower. They couldn't win with firepower last night. They had to do so with execution and toughness, and honestly, a lot of amazing defense. Clemson turned 2 squeeze plays into 2 runs. And I mean, to be able to do that takes some guts from your coach. That takes some confidence, trusting your team to be able to do that. Jacob Jarrell was a tone setter, a sac fly, solo homer, a RBI late in the game, 3-run night. Lucas Malstedt, I mean, to me, I have him circled as the guy I wanted to talk about the most. And maybe Cam Cannarella deserves a little bit of forgiveness as well for some of the lulls he's had over the season. But he stayed hot and was amazing. These guys, the stars on this team, are really showing out at the end of the season. But Malstead was the hero, 4 scoreless innings to end the game and really kind of stabilize what I felt like was hanging on the edge. He's 3-0 now, and he is thriving in big moments. Malstead is a guy who I didn't really talk about at the beginning of the season, but he has come on as a superstar for the team from the bullpen, and a guy that you have to have in the rotation when the games are on the line, for sure. I mean, he is just so critical to this team's success. And then Cam Cannarella, 4 for 5 for the night. I think I read he has a 17-game hit streak. He's back into form that we wanted him to be. He wasn't at the beginning of the season, but all is forgiven, because if you work out your kinks and you start to click at the end of the season, especially in tournament ball where it's do or die. And when I'm talking about do or die, I mean, if you watch this game, like the infield could not make any mistakes. They had to play near perfect because there were runners on base, runners in scoring position. Every single inning, they made, the right plays at the right time. They had only one error on the game and a few double plays, a lot of big stops when it mattered the most. And while NC State had many opportunities, Clemson just never gave up. And it kind of like I said, as I'm saying, and I'm describing you to this game, that the way I saw it, it was kind of what I thought I would be talking about with the softball game. I thought we would be talking that Clemson beat NC State by a healthy margin, and they set the tone from the beginning and just kind of carried it on. And then that's really kind of how the softball team did, and I thought it'd be vice versa with the softball team in Texas, where they would just have to not make any mistakes and play perfect. And maybe softball tonight has to be that way. Maybe they have to make 0 mistakes and be absolutely perfect to be able to make it through. Maybe that's the option for them. But to me, it was a great show of grit for Clemson. 16 hits and to NC State's 12. And late in the game, they had 3 runs in the 8th. So it was just really good there for Clemson to finish out the game strong. This is what postseason baseball to me is all about. It's not going to be pretty all the time. It's not going to be easy going, unless maybe you're like led by Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Maybe Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had maybe more of the least stressful seasons as a Clemson football fan than Deshaun Watson. But tense moments. A team that maybe is not playing their best game, but still finds a way to survive. That to me is the right mindset that you need to make it to the next level, to continue to win, and to be playing at a championship caliber effort. Now, Saturday, Clemson faces Georgia Tech, and they could really help their postseason bids by solidifying where they belong with a win on Saturday. Georgia Tech is a team that has been doing well, and so they're ranked as well, and you're going to have another difficult game. Can Clemson fight through and continue their success in the ACC? I think so. The ACC tournament has been really, really exciting. Can Clemson win and go all the way to the ACC championship game and win the ACC, and then possibly even kind of at that point, you'd think that they would lock in maybe a national seed at that point, but I think so. I mean, they're playing exactly the way they need to. Like, it doesn't have to be pretty, but the defense is playing elite. The bullpen is right there when you need them, and he doesn't get talked about as much as far as wins and losses because we want to talk about the players a lot. But Eric Bakich making the right decisions at the right time, really, really awesome. All right, hey, we're going to finish it up talking about Clemson being so great. Was it one of the best nights of the year this season? Maybe it's because Clemson is heavy on football and that's what everybody wants to talk about. But Clemson has a lot of historic nights and weekends in college football. And Clemson basketball has had a lot of hype and going into the Elite Eight and being able to make a successful run with transfer portal guys. And Brad Brownell gets a lot of discussion as well. But, we don't talk a ton about, and I'm included in this, but we don't talk a ton about the Diamond. And one team took down the monster Texas that even the play-by-play and the analysts and didn't even want the ones that were calling the game didn't even want to give Clemson credit for that. But they took down Texas, and they're going to get a shot to really take them down tonight. And then as Eric Bakich mentioned, the baseball team beats NC State, and it just seems like a gritty win. And you look at the rankings, and Clemson should be ranked higher than them, so they shouldn't have struggled. But no, NC State is a team that could go to Omaha as well. And it just seems like that the fan base may be a little bit frustrated, or maybe it's because it's not football, but this is 2 big time wins, 2 really great performances from baseball and softball, signature moments from both programs that show that they have something to prove, and that they're proving it, and that they're battle tested, and they're not on the outside looking in, that they are an elite team, that both of them are elite teams, and they're ready to make a run in the postseason. I don't feel like this is just a flash in the pan for both. I don't feel like that, they're going to fizzle out. I do feel like that both teams have rosters that can get them deep into the playoffs, deep into the tournament, because it's not just big bats. It's not just small ball. They have a little bit of everything, and it's not all hitting, and it's not all just one pitcher. They have a bullpen. They have a rotation that can be successful. And when one person struggles, they can find a way. And they both have legendary coaches, really good, smart coaches that understand the game at the highest level, that can take them, to the championship game. And Clemson is obviously not one of those teams. The softball team's not one of those teams named Texas or Oklahoma, and I get it. But they showed that they deserve to be looked at and seriously. And Clemson also, they're not an SEC team. I get it. And it's been forever since they've been to Omaha, and they get a lot of jokes about that. But they can do it, and they have the staff and the roster to do it. And they're getting these signature moments that, to me as a player, I would encourage them to look back on and say, you know what, we do belong here. Whether or not national media says it or not, whether or not our play-by-play or television analysts think it, or the writers out there think it, they're proving it actually on the field. And they're sending a message across the nation that the Diamond, both softball and baseball, deserves to have some respect there. Nobody should be sleeping on Texas or on Clemson and the Tigers, because, maybe you should sleep on them if you're the opponent like Texas, because I'd rather just, you think that you can't win, or you think that you can, it's too easy to win, and just let Clemson go ahead and sneak up on you just like they did last night. But softball made history already, getting to the Super Regional, getting to winning the ACC, doing so now where they're not able to do this at home, and they're away from home and on the road, and it's difficult. Baseball also, they're winning a bunch of games in a row. Clemson softball winning a bunch of games in a row, beating teams that are in their own right doing really well and have very talented teams themselves, and also on really good win streaks. So it's not just a bunch of hype from me because I'm the Clemson guy. These teams have a lot of heart. They're winning games by their stars that are out there, and there are multiple stars that are rising to the occasion. They're prepared, they're tough, and they believe in what they can do. And I think that there's something to be said. Softball, for sure. I was talking to my dad. I said, Dad, do you realize that they're almost in Oklahoma City? Almost. And baseball is almost in Omaha. It's just a few games away. It could all unravel. I get it. But there's not much left for me to need to see to know that they can make it that far. You should be proud of what these two teams have done. Really, I'm always proud of anything Clemson does, win or lose, because I know that Clemson does it the right way in the programs. And so I'm always going to back them no matter what. And that's kind of probably because I'm a graduate as well. But you should be proud. These teams represent the Paw very well. resilience, and just building up more, because both of them have a lot of young guys on the team and girls, ladies on the team that can take them to the next level. So it's really awesome to see. One great night last night. Hopefully it doesn't just end there. Hopefully both teams, baseball Saturday, softball tonight, a little bit later on tonight, they can show that they can play with anyone and beat anyone and continue to do so. Clemson football obviously gets all the spotlight all the time, but right now let's focus on softball and baseball. Let's put all of our cheering behind them and build them up and continue to support them as they try to make a run to something special here at Clemson. This is how dynasties start, if you really think about it. All it takes is one season to be like, wow, we should take them serious. And all of a sudden the recruiting wins start rolling in and you get a dynasty going. And that kind of how that snowball kind of keeps rolling. Wasn't just a win for softball or baseball. This was a huge win for Clemson both last night. And hopefully they can continue doing it as the offseason goes. One of the better nights in sports for Clemson all year so far. And hopefully the success from basketball can roll into baseball and softball and then roll into football as we get into the fall. Hey, thank you so much for making Locked on Clemson your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show with Brian Smith. He has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes in college football. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, Tiger fans, I'll see you. It's the end of the week. We've got, one more week to go for May, and it's crazy. It'll be the end of May, and I'll have done this, what is that? February, March, April, May. So 4 months now. I'll be starting on my 5th month here, getting close to that half a year. So thank you so much for the support and hanging out with me Monday through Friday. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you, Tiger fan, at the top of the hill.